Shalom, we are in Parashah Mishpatim. That means judgments. Now, as I said previously, judgments got a negative connotation to it, because in our legal system, when you have interaction with a judge, it's normally a bad experience because there's a legal case and whatnot. So Mishpatim is in the context of the commandments of Yahweh, which is after the 10 words and prior to the 10 commandments that's written on the 2 tablets. Now that we see within the symbolism of the word picture of Mishpatim, that starts with a letter Mem and it ends with the letter Mem. And the letter Mem represents water, and it also represents the word of Yahweh. So now we can see that Mishpatim, which is also referred to in this Torah portion as the Book of the Covenant, because that's where the Mishpatim was written and then read to the people in relation to them accepting all the Mishpatim as part of their initiation and signing of the contract, so to speak, to become the kingdom of priests. So that is the requirements, or let's call it the position description, for the role of becoming a priest within the kingdom of priests, within the house of Israel, to facilitate the function of governing the people on behalf of Yahweh in this physical realm. So the covers of this Book of the Covenant are the 2 Mems, one on the left, one on the right, and inside this cover we get the word Shaphat and the letter Yod. Now Yod is the hand of Yahweh that's handing down this Book of the Covenant, and Shaphat means to judge. Now there's a collection of 53 commandments in this Mishpatim, in this Book of the Covenant. And the 53 commandments range from practical things on how to live with other people within the household of Yahweh. There's also the repeating of the commandment of the Sabbath, with the adding of the sabbatical here. There are also the repeating of the yearly festivals, the Moedim, which is part of this Mishpatim, the Book of the Covenant. So that harmonized with the verse that said that Moshe judged the people. He basically gave them wisdom and information regarding the Chok, which are the statutes, which are normally anything to do with the culture, the festivals and those things, as well as the Torah, which are the instructions and directions on how you should travel, how you should act, and the way you should conduct yourself in amongst the people. And that's basically the 2 basic themes within this Book of this Covenant. So I just want to put that forward. Now we are going to look at the detail of the number 53. I'm not going to reveal it here now. You have to wait for tomorrow. Very, very fascinating to see what the number 53 means and the 53 commandments and what the intent is behind the 53 commandments. And then also we see within this Torah portion, after the receiving and the appointment of the kingdom of priests, the leaders of this kingdom of priests were the 70 elders and Moshe, Aaron, and I think it's Eleazar, which made a total of 74 men that went up onto the mountain, and they saw Yahweh face to face, having entered into a realm or dimension which is similar to the throne room, because there was a glass floor made of sapphire. So they stepped into a higher dimension from elevating on the mountain. Now, earlier this week, I did a quick study on the word for evening, and the root word for evening is lul, which is lamet, vav, lamet. And this gives us the idea of the vav that stepped up the ladder, and being halfway on the ladder, having the second part of the ladder, the second lamet, that reach out to the higher dimension, standing in the middle, gave access to this place where they sat and met with the Elohim. Now we're going to discuss a bit more detail about that tomorrow. I'm not going to give that away now. Some of you already gone through the study last year will have an understanding of what I'm talking about. But basically, let's call it similar to the round table of King Arthur. It's the same idea where the elders and Moshe entered into, and they could speak to Yahweh. And then Moses went up higher into the cloud, higher onto the mountain, which relates to the picture that I highlighted this Wednesday when we look at the cycles of Yahweh, which is the verse that connect evening, or the root word lul, to the passage that describes Solomon's temple. And it talks about a spiraling staircase or a ladder that reach from the middle to the third. So the middle is the center, or the midpoint of connecting to Yahweh. And this is what this space represents, the glass floor and meeting Elohim with the 74 men. And then Moses went up to the third, which is the highest point of the mountain, or the third chamber of the temple, which is the Holy of Holies. So you can see the symbolism. And this related to the third month, which is meeting Yahweh at the mountain. The second, which is basically the middle, which was the receiving of the manna, because when they sat, they basically had a conversation and had a feast. And that is the manna that was revealed on the second. And the second is associated with the cycles, but specifically the cycles within a month, which is the Sabbath. And that is the pinnacle of part of the book of the covenant, is revealing the cycles in relation to the Sabbath, in relation to the sabbatical year, as well as in relation to the Moedim, which are part of the yearly cycle, the 7 festivals which reveal the work of Mashiach. Now what we'll see in this number 53 is the intent. What is the outcome of engaging with this 53 Mishpatim, commandments, that is housed in between the covers of the 10 words and the 10 commandments, packaged up and sealed by the sprinkling of blood upon the altar, which represent the stone. Stone is the word aven, which is a picture of Av combined with Ben. Av is father, Ben is son. So the stone where the blood was sprinkled on was one half of the covenant, which is the Father and the Son, which includes Mashiach. And then it was sprinkled, the blood was sprinkled on the people, and they were the other part of the covenant on which that agreed to this covenant. So Yahweh and Israel made a covenant, and it was sealed by 2 sacrifices and the sprinkling of the blood. Now the 2 sacrifices were the peace offering, which is shalom, which is linked to shalom, entering peace, but shalom also means the completing of the building. And this is in context of the household, which is the outcome, the end goal, is to finish this building, to finish this household, and to enter into that house, into the presence of Yahweh. And the other offering was the Olah offering, or the elevation offering, which is the complete burning of fire. The sacrifice or offering was completely burned by fire. And that is what we talked about yesterday, the pillar of fire that you engage with, the elevation that happened. That end result is holiness, or the light of Yahweh, of which He is the source. And you can only enter into His presence if you have engaged with His tornado of fire, the spinning elevation force, the pillar of light, the pillar of fire, that transform you into a light being, into someone that has light, that radiates light, and that can transmit light so that others can receive that light. So that's all I want to share with you today. This is part of our preparation for tomorrow. I hope you have a lovely day. We will do a deep dive tomorrow into a few more details surrounding these matters, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Speak to you soon. Shalom.